Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. You guys have been asking. We finally have our first ever fighter interview on the channel. UFC middleweight Chris Curtis. Chris, how are you doing?
What's up? I am doing good, man. I'm glad to be the first guy in the chair. I'm excited.
I know, man. It's crazy. So, for those of you who probably don't know the story, somebody was in my chat about a month or a month and a half ago. And there's fighters there's people on YouTube, there's weirdos all the time who are pretending to be fighters, got fighters' profile pics, got their name. And it was Chris. And I was like, come on, man, stop pretending to be a fighter. And then next thing you know, Chris is calling me on video chat on Instagram. Man, that was crazy. How did you feel when you were doing that? Because, man, I was shocked, honestly.
It's cool. Like I said, man. I watch your channel a lot. I watch your stuff. I like your breakdowns, your thoughts on it. So I was like, no, it really is me. I'm not being a weirdo. Normally is the guy being a weirdo. It's like, no, man, I always like dropping the line. Like I always watch the show. So I was like, you know what? I'll actually let him know it's not a random guy pretending to be me.
Oh, man, sorry about that.
Oh no, I understand. I get the weirdest. I have gotten like requests from my like fake me page. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Like, all right.
So I was curious. I'm always curious about this because some MMA fighters aren't really fans of MMA at all. I'm curious, how big of an actual MMA fan are you? Like how often are you watching the fight cards? Are you watching all of them? Are you watching the big ones? Like, is it just your teammates or what is it? What is it with you?
So I used to be the biggest fan. I used to know every fighter, every stat, every card. Talk about Dream, Sengoku, Tachi fight. Everything. Like now I knew every WEC fight going on. I used to know everything. Um, as I got older, I kind of tapered off, just because for 15 years in the sport, it's kind of like you really want to bring your job home more than you have to. As a fighter, you bring your job home a lot anyway. So for the sake of my sanity and like my family and friends' sanity, I kind of backed away from the sport in my free time. I don't watch as much, definitely not as much as I used to. I'll definitely check out my teammates fighting because you have to. It scares the shit out of me, but I'll check out my teammates fighting. Or there's there's a few fighters I really do like. I'm like a Volkanovski fan. I'm a fan of Calvin Kattar, of course. But there's a list of guys I do check out fights because I like the style. I like seeing them. Outside of that, man, like not a lot anymore. Like I follow boxing a lot closer than I do MMA now.
Really? Did you happen to catch UFC 275 this Saturday or last Saturday?
I
Or
saw
no?
some of the. I saw Jocelyn Edwards fight. She's a teammate of mine. I watched her fight, and I watched Joanna, which made me sad. And then I watched Glover, which was just, woo.
That was a wild, crazy fight, wasn't it, man? Who were you expecting to win that one?
I thought Glover was going to win. I had it, and he was seconds away from winning that fight until he decided to go for a guillotine, which I will never understand.
Yeah, man, it was one of the wildest fights ever. There was multiple times throughout that fight. I thought it was over when Glover was on his back multiple times. I saw, oh, he's got him here, and somehow the fight just kept going and kept going. Man, it was
Fifth
insane.
round, it was over. I thought Glover had him hurt. I was like, bro, he's gonna knock him out. And then he jumped the guillotine, which was just the worst decision I've ever seen in a title fight.
It seems like that happens more often than you would think. Guys get other guys hurt, and then instead of looking for the finish, they shoot it on a takedown or they look for a submission of some sort. Seems like it happens more often than you would actually think it would. I feel like we've seen it.
It happened. I think, like, especially that late in the fight, like everybody gives Glover shit for it, but I kind of get it. That late in the fight, you've been hurt, you're exhausted. Like I think at the end of the day, most people will default back to what they know. And Glover's got good hands. His boxing's gotten better, but before anything else, he's a grappler, right? So
Yep.
when you're on autopilot, like you do what comes natural. Was it the right thing to do? No, but like in the moment, you do what comes natural. So I get it. Like I'm like, why would you do it at the same time? I understand, like, being in a situation, you're hurt and tired. Like, you make decisions that your body makes decisions for you sometimes. Doesn't always work out, but, like, yeah, it's part of the game.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Probably he's just, I mean, it's 24 minutes into a wild fight, probably
He's
just
exhausted,
exhausted.
hurt. Yeah,
Yep.
that's exactly it. Yeah, he's exhausted and hurt, and he just, he did what came natural.
So anyway, I want to move on to you were on Dana White's Contender Series back in 2018, and you had a great performance, you got a finish, and you ultimately did not get the contract from Dana White. And then moving on from that, how did it feel like years later getting that call to step in and fight Phil Hawes, and then having that great performance on, I guess it wasn't relatively short notice because I think you accepted the fight on like a day's notice, but then it got rescheduled. What all happened there? I know that's like 5 questions, but
So no, with the fight, I accepted on under a day's notice. So I accepted on I got home Thursday night. I ate dinner, took a shower, ate a big dinner, and was in bed watching TV. My manager comes up the stairs. My manager Lance comes running up the stairs, and he's like, "What do you weigh right now?" I was like, "I don't know." So I got on the scale, like 196, not 197, and he's like, "Can you make weight tomorrow to fight Phil Hawes?" And I was like, "Yes, I can make weight to fight Phil Hawes tomorrow." So we went to I did a short run. We went out, we cut weight, we made weight in like 2 hours. I weigh in the next morning, and I'm on my way to get medicals done because it was such short notice. I didn't have my medicals done. And we're on the way, and he just looks at me, and he's like, "Don't freak out, but Phil Hawes is declining the fight now." So he said he'd take the fight. I make weight, and then he turns it down. I personally I think he wanted me to struggle making weight, and I hit weight too quick. So he's like, "No, don't want to do it." So then they pushed it back 2 weeks, which was fine, which was like, okay, cool. It gives me 2 more weeks. And honest, man, like, it probably helped him out more than anything because I was ready to go. In that 2 week span, I ended up getting like an ear infection. And then the last week of the fight, I ended up getting a staph infection under my eye. So I'm like pounding antibiotics. So everybody laughs, like, they go, "Oh, you look so much different between the Brendan Allen fight and the Phil Hawes fight. You look way slower in the Phil Hawes fight." I was like, "Yeah, I'm on a broad spectrum antibiotic, and it wasn't going down. So I'm taking 3 times recommended dose daily to like try to like get this out of my system." So I was like, "Yeah, it looks slow." I was dying. Like I was on this massive antibiotic. I was absolutely dying. So yeah.
So were you nervous when it originally got rescheduled? Were like you nervous? Like I know you got the call, and then the fact that it got pushed back. Were you a little bit nervous, or was it kind of like an immediate thing? You understand what I'm saying?
I was upset they got pushed back. I was because my immediate fear was like, "God damn it, I got this close again," and then they're gonna take it from me. And they're like, no, Shelby, not Shelby, but Mick Maynard, appreciates I took the fight, no hesitation. I made weight, everything. They ended up sliding me some money for making weight, which was nice because I was flat broke. And then he's like, 2 weeks later, I was like, "I'm ready now. So what's another couple weeks?" So I mean, didn't bother me at all. I was fine. Phil Hawes is like, "I like to make guys study me and whatever." I don't particularly care. Like, I don't give a damn at all. I fought a lot of people. I even said that, he talked a lot of crap in that interview. I don't dislike Phil Hawes, but he definitely looked past me a lot. He's like, "Oh, he's here for the fight kit, blah, blah, blah." And I even said, like, "I'm the best guy you've ever fought." Like, remember that. Like, not to be a dick to him, but he's not the best guy I've ever fought. Like, I fought world champions. I fought some, amazing people. I'm the best guy you've ever fought. Like, we're not that. So for me, there was no fear going in. It's just like, I have said, I've been screaming from rooftops for a long time, but like, I deserve to be there, man. I deserve to be here. I've done a lot more than most, and I see people who get signed to do a fraction of what I do. So, I believe I should be there for a long time, and I finally got to show it.
Yeah. So how did that feel? Like getting that big win, being overlooked for so long, missing out on that Dana White Contender Series contract, and then finishing Phil Hawes in the way you did, man. It was spectacular.
It's great, man. It was a great feeling. Like, part of it kind of sucks because, I wanted to be signed 4 years before that. So I kind of lost 4 years off of it. I got signed at 34, man. I'm not going to have a really long UFC career. So that sucks. I really hate that, like, I got signed so late. But at the same time, being able to come in, make waves, make a splash, and I'm ranked number 6 or 16 in the world right now. So I'm just outside like the top 15. So you know what? Even if I got overlooked, I get to come in, make a splash, and jump a few people and like get towards those rankings. So, and then to win at Madison Square Garden, man, like, oh my God, like, just somebody who's boxed and comes from boxing. Like, my first win was always boxing. Like, to fight at Madison Square Garden and then get a knockout win in MSG is just like, I couldn't have asked for a better debut, and like that was perfect. I knockout win in Madison Square Garden. That was a great time for me. Probably one of the best memories I ever had in the sport.
Yeah, that had to be a great moment. Versus, I think originally it would have been at the Apex. So
Yeah,
I
like
think maybe it was worth it.
I was like, I even say like, you know what, Phil Hawes, like you got us on MSG, on like, maybe he's just a genius and he's thinking, he's playing like 4-dimensional chess, and I'm just didn't see his move here, but like it worked out really, really well.
Yep. So then you take a fight a month later against Brendan Allen, becoming in another massive underdog. And then you get another huge finish. What was the thoughts going in? Did you hesitate taking that fight at all a month after
No,
you had just fought?
no, I fought Phil Hawes on Saturday. I got home Sunday. I was in the gym on Monday. Like didn't take I don't really take time off between fights. I was in the gym Monday. I was going to plan a trip home, but I hadn't really planned it yet. So I was just back in the gym doing what I do. And then they're like, "Hey, do you want to fight again?" And I was like, "When?" They're like 3-4 weeks. And I was like, "Well, I'm already in shape. I didn't take any real damage in the Phil Hawes fight." I'm like, "Why not?" Like I have nothing else going on, so I pushed my vacation back a few weeks, and we just went right back to it.
Yep. Man, that was an awesome performance too, especially coming in such a massive underdog. Then you had got a big fight against Driscus at UFC 273. Unfortunately, you had to pull out. I don't know. Was it ever disclosed what that injury was?
Yeah,
Did you ever?
it sucks because I asked for that fight. I asked Triscus, like, "Hey, do you want to fight?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." And it was people, the internet laughed. They asked him on Twitter, like, "Hey, man, I want to fight. Do you want to fight?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." Just like the most polite fight call out ever. I like Triscus. He's a cool dude. I like his style. I asked for that fight because I was like, this is a fight that we can bonus on. Like, one or both of us is going to bonus on this fight. So it's a fun fight. Let's do it. It makes sense. The injury sucked. So about 2 weeks before the fight, I'm sparring. I went to throw a body shot, and my sparring partner, Greg, throws a body kick. So he catches me right on the wrist on an extended hand, and I got fractures on both sides of my wrist from that. I got like 4 millimeter fracture on both sides, just completely and fractured both sides of the wrist. And I immediately knew something was wrong. I was like, no, but something's wrong. We got to go. Went to the PI, went to the hospital. They x-rayed it, and they're like, yeah, you've got fractures on both sides of there. It just sucked. It's just one of those things to where it was just a really, really, really unfortunate freak accident. Like he didn't throw it like with malice. He wasn't being a bad training partner. He was a really good guy for Driscus's camp. It's just one of those weird things that happens in the fight game. So that sucked. I really wanted that fight. I wanted to be more active this year, so it sucked getting pushed back. And the doctor's like, "There's no way I can clear you to fight." So we kind of had to sit back and wait and for it to heal a little bit more and get cleared. So now
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah. Now you're fighting Rodolfo Vieira on June 25th, I believe. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday.
Yep, next Saturday.
This is a fight at middleweight. I know you fought at welterweight before, but your fights in the UFC have been at middleweight so far, and now it's going to be 3 fights in. Do you plan on staying at middleweight, going back to welterweight, whatever's offered, or?
I don't know because middleweight's like my quality of life goes up drastically at middleweight. It lets me fight more, and like it's. I'm not a big middleweight, but I'm a very big welterweight. So like making 185 is easy for me. Like it requires nothing of me. I can train, I can eat, I can focus my camps on training instead of the 170 to where, to make 170, I'm eating 700 calories a day for like 6 weeks. It's absolutely miserable. I hate my life. Like I'm a pretty cheerful guy normally. At 170, I'm a cranky fuck for like 2 months. Like it's not a great time. I think Rodolfo was a big test for me. We worked a lot with the PI on my strength and conditioning. He's putting some size on. I've gained like 6 pounds of muscle in like the last 3 months, which is nice. So we'll go in and we'll see how I feel. If he's just, even if I win, if he just feels too big, too strong, we'll kind of have to reevaluate. Like, can I be in this weight class? I'm only 5'10", and at my heaviest, I'm 200 pounds. At 185. So like, I'm on the small. You got guys like Sean who are like 215, 220 walking around. So I'm getting up a lot of size. So we'll see how I feel with Rodolfo. Like, if I win, but I still feel just like, I had to fight way too hard. He's way too strong. We'll look at some things. But for right now, I like 85, man. Like being able to not starve, being able to like, oh, you know what, I'll have like pasta today is a nice thing, as opposed to like living on chicken breast, avocado, and asparagus, which is not a good way to live, man.
Yeah. So speaking of your training partner, Sean Strickland, I wanted to ask you, I asked people in my members Discord, I'm interviewing Chris Curtis. What do you want me to ask him? They were like, what does he think of Sean Strickland? I know a lot of people are always asking, is it an act? Is it really him? I've always kind of said that it's just like, I feel like it's kind of him, but I feel like he embellishes a little bit, kind of leans into it a little bit. You know better than anyone. What is it? What's the real answer there?
It's just how Sean is. He's always been this way, but now we've given him a platform to let him do this, and it's just like this is what I've been dealing with for like 6 years. Like when I first moved to Vegas, I had a place out here, and Sean would come stay with me for camps and shit. So I'm seriously, I'm like, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm in bed and just sitting on whatever. Sean, I looked up. Sean's in my doorway, sipping his coffee. And I'm like, what is it, Sean? He's like, you know what your problem is, Kurt? I'm going to tell you. And I'm like, okay, Sean. It is 8 o'clock. And then he goes off on a tirade. It becomes just about like completely, it's really who he is. The only issue is you guys never cared before. And now people are like, oh, Sean, tell us about things. And now he's like, there's been no repercussions. So now he's just voicing all the weird shit he keeps to himself. And just like, the thing is, though, he's as much as a villain as everyone thinks he is, he's actually like the dude would give you the shirt off of his back. He really would. He would mock you the entire time, but he'd still give you the shirt.
It's funny you're wearing the Sean Strickland shirt. That's the first thing I noticed when you joined in here. Go ahead.
Our coach, Eric Nipsick, made Sean Strickland shirts because he was out of town for the week. So we made Sean Strickland shirts to keep him near us while he was gone.
So speaking of Sean, he's got a big fight coming up at UFC 276 against Alex Pereira. What are your thoughts on that fight? I mean, that's a massive fight. I think the winner could potentially be next in line for a middleweight title shot. What's your thoughts on that fight?
This is Sean's fight to lose. We've been over this 1,000 times. Everyone has with him. People don't realize that Sean's jiu-jitsu black belt, like a decent black belt. He's a very good grappler, jiu-jitsu black belt, and he's actually a very good wrestler. Like ever since the Usman fight, his thoughts on wrestling have changed. Sean's a very, very good wrestler. This is Sean's fight to win or lose. We've been hammering into him like it's not a dick measuring contest. Like, you know how to win this fight. Like, pressure, smother him, wear him out, make him grapple. But at the same time, it's Sean Strickland. So my biggest fear is like he's going to make this a kickboxing match just to prove that he can. And I'm like, bro, no, like you can call it being a bitch. Like, put him on his back and just beat him up. Because like Sean's probably one of the top 5 guys I've ever dealt with when it comes to like top pressure. Like him and Albert Durev are probably 2 of the worst ever. But he can make this an easy fight, or he can make this a really hard fight. But even more so than being a badass, Sean's biggest drive, his biggest motivational drive in life is money. And he knows that winning this fight gets him more money. So I have faith that he'll do the smart thing here.
Yeah, there's no sense of going in there and trying to be prideful and not fighting a fight that is conducive to you winning. Because if you lose, then you're back to square one kind of type deal. So
that makes sense for regular like people, but also when you're talking about crazy people and they don't think the same. So I'm just like, I'm choosing to believe that he'll make the right decision here.
Yeah. So if Sean was to ever become a middleweight champion, you're in the middleweight weight class, and you were to make the climb to fight for a belt, you would fight Sean, right? I'm assuming you would.
Yeah, we fight anyway. We've been fighting for years. Fuck yeah. He would judge me for not taking the fight. Like, yeah. Fuck yeah. We've almost killed it. That dude tried to kill me for so long now. I'm like, bro, I'm just getting paid for the same shit that goes on. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to your Rodolfo Vieira fight. What's the game plan going into that fight? I know he's a great grappler. Is the plan just to kind of stuff the takedowns, look to strike?
Yeah, I mean, it's very textbook striker versus grappler matchup to where, I don't think he can ever hope to match me on the feet. But I don't think I could ever hope to match him on the ground. So I think where it comes down to is whose wrestling is better. I think wrestling wins this fight. he wants to wrestle and get me down. I want to wrestle and strike. So the plan is, I don't really have a different game plan for every fight. It's pretty much the same. It's like just forward pressure, work him over, tower him out, and just drag him into deep waters until eventually he breaks. So, I'm an easy guy. All of my camps are easy. Like, my game plan is the same 99.5% of the time. So beat him up, pressure him, wear him out, and put him away.
Yeah. So I know this is a big fight for you. It's not, I don't think it's a little bit less than maybe the Driscus fight was, but still, if you win this fight, I think you're knocking on the door of getting a top 15 ranked guy next. And I know, this question's asked all the time to fighters, and there's never really an answer because you don't want to answer it before the fight, looking past the guy. But in your head, do you kind of plan out like, okay, if I beat this guy, I want to move on to something here, fight a ranked guy next? Or is it just completely focused on that guy, not thinking of anything else yet?
I don't even know most of the people in this division if they're not teammates. I know my teammates in this division. Outside of that, I have no idea who's in it. And like I just answer phone calls. Like, all right, I show up. Everybody's like, you gotta start having call outs ready. And I'm like, yeah, I will at some point. But here's the thing. I'm on early contracts. So until my money goes up, I'm the one dude who's like, I'm not looking to like fight the best guy. No, okay. I've been doing this for like trying to get here for 10 years. I've lost a lot of money in this sport. I'm happy. Give me like the rank, like 35 guy. I'll go fight him. Doesn't bother me. I'm trying to burn through 2 or 3 contracts really fast. I will fight like, you got a guy from Ultimate Fighter, or you got a guy from freaking what's Ryan Battle doing? I go fight him. Like, yeah, like screw it, bro. I want to burn through contracts. I want to get like to a higher pay scale. And if jumping up to a higher guy does that, but if I'm gonna get the same pay, then let me go fight, new guys and like guys who aren't that great. What's Dusko doing? I'm gonna fight Dusko. Like, yeah, man, like I'm totally fine with that. People are like, oh, that's going backwards. I'm like, I don't care as long as my check clears.
Hey, that makes sense to me.
I'm a very mercenary mindset at this point in my life. I'm like, as long as the check clears, let's go.
Speaking of your UFC contract, how many fights do you have left on your contract? When you initially got signed for the Phil Hawes fight, was that like a 1-fight deal and then you signed another contract?
No,
or
that was a 4-fight contract. Then I got a different one for Brendan Allen. So I'm on my second contract now, and I think I get to renegotiate after this one. Because if you break top 15, you get to renegotiate. So if all goes well, I'll be on like 3, I think.
Okay. And I think if you do beat Rodolfo Vieira, I think you will find yourself in the top 15 of the rankings, which will be awesome for you. Speaking of 185 pounds, I wanted to get your thoughts on that, but obviously you say you don't know a lot of guys within the division. UFC 276 is coming up. I'm assuming you know Israel Adesanya versus Jared Cannonier. Do you have any thoughts on that fight, or you haven't thought about it at all?
I've like kind of like thought of like giving it some thought. I don't know, man. My thing is, everyone wants to say Izzy, but I can't get over the fact that, like, do you remember how much he got touched up by Gastelum?
Yes, I do.
Like, he got touched by Gastelum a lot. And I can't imagine you getting touched. If you got touched by Gastelum that much and hurt that by Gastelum, what happens if Cannonier touches you?
That is very true. Cannonier's got nasty power.
Very different type styles of fight, but I'm just like, man. And yeah, he beat the shit out of Costa, which would probably be like, I guess maybe a better comparison. But I would say like Cannonier is like midway point between Costa and Gastelum. So I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like skill wise, you want to say Izzy, but like, man, Cannonier is just you're the gorilla. He's a gorilla. They're named a gorilla for a reason, man. I'm just like, I can't get that.
Brunson fight?
Yeah, it's just God, like crushed him, like absolutely crushed him. And I just if you can do that, like I cannot imagine. And if fucking Gastelum can touch you, man, and hurt you, Cannonier can hurt you. So I'm just, I don't know. Can Izzy go 25 minutes without getting hurt, or can he beat him first? But if it goes 25 minutes, I have to believe Cannonier touches him.
Yeah.
And that dude's got like smaller Rumble death touch power. So like, what do you do?
I know that Brunson fight was absolutely insane. I remember those vicious ground and pound elbows at the end there, and I think his corner even threw in the towel in that fight. That's how nasty
Yeah,
it was.
smart for them to like save his life. Like, what the hell, man? And like, so that's scary. So I don't know. Everyone wants to lean towards Izzy, but like I can't count Cannonier out just because, like, man, when you've got the Rumble Death Touch, like in 25 minutes to land it, like it's a scary prospect. And Cannonier's pretty fucking durable, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's
He's,
a
he's, he-
go ahead.
no, he's not going to have like the wrestling threat to deal with either. So like he's going to be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great fight for sure. I favor Izzy just because the footwork. It's gonna be hard to kind of track him down, but Jared Cannonier does have nasty power if he's able to find you. And it's crazy. He's a former heavyweight, man. That's
crazy.
He moved all the way down to middleweight. Oh man. Anyway, on your fight card coming up, not this Saturday, next Saturday, do you know what your placement on the card is? I don't know if the about order has been official yet, but do you know where you're going to be on the card? I'm assuming you're going to be on the main card, but do you have any idea where?
I have no idea where. They haven't really shown the actual about. You find out like the day before, like 2 days before, if you're not like one of the if you're not co-main or main event, then kind of like the week of the fight, you kind of find out. I think I may be the featured bout.
Feature fight on the belt.
Yeah, so like what under the co-main event, maybe we'll see. I think I may be the featured bout.
Hey, that makes a lot of sense to me, especially after those two huge wins over Brendan Allen and Phil Hawes. Well, anyway, Chris, I want to thank you so much for joining me. We made history on the channel. You're the first ever interview. You have anything to say? Good.
I'm glad you had me on, man. I'm glad you hit me up. I'm really happy to do the first interview, man. Like it's really fun. I'm a big fan of the show, so it's fun to be able to do the first interview.
Yeah, and I hope it's the first of many. I hope to have you on multiple more times throughout your career, man.
Dude, let's go, man. Hit me up whenever, bro. Like you get in touch with me. I'll do whatever. I've got mostly a lot of free time, so I'm always down, man.
I appreciate it, man. Is there anything you want to say before we go, where people can follow you, stuff like that?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ActionMan513. It is the same for both. I'm always around. I'm always creeping in the comments on Joey's show here. So, drop a line, say hi. I'm always around, guys. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the show. And I will see you guys soon.